What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Coffee and Grit. And I've got a second-time guest in the studio today. I got Desiree Martinez, who is fresh off from writing her new book, Stop Marketing and Start Belonging. And, you guys know how I love at the beginning just talking about the ways of like meeting people and connecting. And it lights me up how small the world is. And it lights me up every time I see Desiree's name, especially in the worlds that we cross constantly. When I know like we met originally from somebody connected to us across the country in Arizona, Tisha Marie Pelletier. And I had met, and I think I explained this the last time Desiree was on, but it's really, really cool. And like I said, every time I see her name or, her stuff that she has going on, I'm like, it's just really cool so I met Tisha back right before COVID happened. And I had transitioned a lot of my marketing and a lot of the way I was outreaching and building connections from on LinkedIn. And I got blessed to be a part of a group that Tisha was a part of. And then Tisha had planned an event where she was coming in to Michigan. She would actually, and this is again, another really weird small world thing, that she had a client in Michigan, all the way from Arizona. And her one client in Brighton, out of all the people that could be, was a guy that was working out of the same collaborative workspace that I was working out of. So just again, small world. And so there's all these incredible people. We meet up at the Pound downtown Brighton, and there's all these incredible people. And I met Desiree, and there's so many other people. And there's people I was like, wow, I didn't even know some of these people were in Michigan, because I've met them from LinkedIn. So again, really cool how that all connects. And then had Desiree on Coffee and Grit. Check out that episode. I will put a link to that in the show notes, so you can check out the other episode too. But I'm super excited to dial in. We were just sitting here talking about her book and her whole entire platform she has going on. So I'm excited now to transition and stop babbling to Desiree. So Desiree, welcome to the studio.
Thanks for having me. I love the new dig. It's like it's a whole new world over here. It's been like a couple years since we've been on and we've chatted, but I loved you talked about that with Tisha. Tisha and I have been friends for ever, like since she was pregnant with Ellie. Like we've been friends because we knew each other in Arizona.
Yeah,
like that's where I knew her from, and so she came out. She stayed with me. It was all of the things. So I love that we have that moment, that bonding situation, and the people bringing us together.
I know, it's so crazy. And then I see you at the farmers market, and you're in the do a lot with the Howell Chamber and the Brighton Chamber and the gym. I know. I was like, I think that's Desiree over there in the gym. And then like great people connected, same people like Desi, and stuff like that. So just
Christy,
Christy,
Beth, so many.
Oh my God, there's so many people. There's so many people just in our community, period, that are just amazing, which lights me up, and they feed my show. So all these people that we're mentioning have been on Coffee and Grit,
So many things. Well, open it up. What are we asking? What are we talking about
today?
So,
you were just, I'm going to stop right now because we're going into the show and this is amazing stuff. So we talked about a lot of stuff the last time, your story, marketing and stuff like that. But I think there's probably been a lot of transition since then, hence the book and some of the stuff you were explaining. So, how did that happen?
Okay, so there's a whole journey. Again, you can go back and watch the whole podcast for context. But for those of you that are first time listeners or new to me, I've been doing marketing since MySpace. That's a long time to be in the marketing space and being a part of these trends and all these things that are happening and being so internet focused. Everything I'm talking about all the time is this thing on Facebook, this thing on Instagram, be on YouTube, do this TikToks, do the email list, do the SEOs. There's so much interneting. And over the course of the 16 plus years of me doing this, there's more and more online tasks that you have to do all of the time. And when you think about how we do businesses in small communities and as small business owners, it's not as internet-y as the internet wants you to believe it to be. Even when I think back to living in Phoenix, starting my business, how I got started with hawking my social media marketing services was going to networking stuff. And I was sitting back and reflecting, what is the next phase of my professional journey? And this was all in the last year. So we're in 2026, this is 2025, and early in the year. I was like, what do I want to do? What do I want to do when I grow up? It was literally I was turning 40. I was like, what's going to happen? How do I make all the things, do the things that they're supposed to do, all that. And I just started thinking about how I existed in this world. And I kept thinking about how so much everything that I do is about finding people and connecting with them. And I find that my greatest joys in my work is when I get to sit down with people and solve problems together, to break bread, to have tea, do all of that kind of stuff. And I was like, and then I started looking at like my world of my people and the people that I've learned from and that I have been mentored by and that have brought me into the world of our Brighton world. It occurred to me that like there's a really important part of peopling. At the same time, when you're in your industry, when you're good at your industry, you're always seeing what's coming up, what's changing, and how people are feeling about stuff. I was starting to really see this movement online. Like, I want to be online less and I want to be in the world more. Even consciously, like last year when I started the year, I was like, I gotta find things to do. There's not scrolling on my phone. And so I like learned to make sourdough. I started making like big chunky knitted blankets. I learned how to make cheese. Like, I mean, like I was like, I gotta get off my phone. And it's just because it's so much. Like, and it can dictate your mood sometimes. It can just surprise you with information. You can get thrown off your axis about stuff. You can get pulled in because you're so excited about stuff. And so it's like, okay, how can we look at how we do businesses as business owners? And my greatest inspiration that really led me to this is actually Barbara Walker. Barbara Walker is the founder of Heartland Insurance. Not the founder, she's the owner of Heartland Insurance. She bought it from her dad in the early 80s. And she'll tell you, as I've talked with her for years, she'll tell you like the one thing I always do to grow my business is I have boots on the ground. I have a team of people, and it is their job to represent the brand out in the community. We're in 10 chambers. We're in Elks Clubs and Rotaries, and we're at all of the places, and we're sponsoring the local high school sports, and we're in the parades, and we're doing all of these things. We show up physically in the community. When you ask her about her online work, she's like, we do stuff, but it's very much not a priority. It is a bit of a box that we're checking just to have it done because we need to be there. But she'll be the first one to tell you all of my old-fashioned traditional things I've been doing since the 80s are all still relevant and all still work. And so when I interviewed her for the book, Stop Marketing, Start Belonging, she was the first person I talked to. I was like, all right, I got to figure this out. I got to go talk with her about how she's done this, why she's done this, all of those parts and pieces. And just the rest of the book just really fell into place with dissecting traditional marketing practices and how those things still work and adding modern twists to them. But then the follow-up question, which is what my work is, it's just so digitally focused, like how do we bridge it? How do we take in real life traditional marketing practices and bridge it to digital? And so that's what it's all about.
That's so awesome because that was how I've gotten any business I had to get boots on the ground because really my content, who does it matter to if I don't have those relationships? And I think that my content is received because of the relationships that I've built, and it takes getting out there and I'm excited to know more, but I'm following you.
No, well, and I mean, and I love what you said about like the in-person element is so important. I am a student of the internet, and I am a very active practitioner because the internet serves a lot of really intentional purposes when you're trying to build businesses. Because sometimes going out into the community and physically doing stuff isn't always that option. And like I have my own personal experience to draw from. My husband was in the Air Force, and it was 2016, and he comes home and he's like, "We have orders to move to South Korea." I had 2 kids. They were both toddlers. I had a new agency that I was like growing and that focused on putting my military spouse community to work. And I was like, well, how am I supposed to get business if I don't have a way to go talk to people and call and connect? Like it's a 14 to 17 hour time difference, depending on your time zone in the States to where they are in South Korea. And so at the same time, I happened to come across this book that was just published called Vlog Like a Boss by Amy Schmittauer Landino. And it was a roadmap to me, showing me like, you can use YouTube to get business. And so much of like what I thought about YouTube was like, oh, it's where you watch videos and you're entertained and it's where trailers go and people play video games. A lot of what we do now, honestly, with YouTube, but just, the 10-year-old version of it. And I was like, okay, how do I do this? And so we moved across the country and I just started teaching people about social media marketing. 2017, August 1st, 2017 is when I started. And I just made a lot of really bad videos on the internet in an unair conditioned room in my house in Korea. And they were terrible because that's how starting anything new is terrible.
It's terrible.
Anything you do for the first time is going to be bad.
Yep.
Like just accept it. I know it's hard for adults to remember that we are bad at things when we start things for the first time, but we give up so easy.
Yep.
But we're not good at it yet. Like we're not supposed to go viral on video number 1. And so I made a lot of bad videos. I did all that stuff. And after 6 months of like showing up and continuing to do it, I could really see the progress of the work. I could see things happening, like people calling me, asking me for work, or rather emailing me because in another country. They would email me asking to work together. Or they would get on my list. I would have partnership opportunities with brands. They're like, hey, you're doing this thing. You're talking to our people. Like, how can we do more stuff together? And, when you fast forward and establish like through COVID, because I had done all of that work, when COVID happened, I was a fantastic resource to people that did not internet. Like when you don't do that, when you don't have a priority of a website, if you don't have a way to communicate with people beyond them coming into your doors, it really makes you reevaluate how you do business. And that's why so many, I think, people went to the internet, and the content creator economy era like bloomed in this insane way. But when we think about how marketing functions in 5-year cycles, we're out of the COVID internet cycle right now, and we're entering into what I call like the human versus AI marketing era. There's a lot of AI. There's no ignoring it.
Yep.
There's also a lot of humaning that's going on at the same time, and neither will replace each other. In fact, I think they work really well together if you do it right. But it's just bridging those things and making it all work together. So I love that you were talking about like, we're online, but we grow our businesses from in-person stuff. But sometimes it's not always the option. But now we live in this fantastic time where both are so necessary.
So what inspired this then? Like, so your relationship, like, how did you start writing this?
Again, when you ask yourself, like, what am I going to do when I grow up? Like I started diving into like my own personal journey. So last year in 2025, I was in like my 15 years of being in business, and I had hit an interesting point where I was having a repeat problem. I started my business in 2010 formally, as a solution to the recession. Like I had graduated from college. I couldn't get work. I needed to find something to do. So I just went into business for myself, because that's what most of us did at that time, honestly, and figuring it out. And Facebook was so new, and people kept asking, what's this Facebook thing? How do we do this? Right. Could you imagine a time where people were like, what is Facebook? Like,
what is Facebook?
Yeah, like it's a whole like thing to think about. But once upon a time, people were like, what is Facebook? Right. And so I had gone in like kind of some cycles in my business where it's like, it made sense. It was growing, and then it dived. It made sense. It was growing, and then it would die. And it was just because the needs of the people had changed, how things function changed. And so I was dealing with that with last year. I was in a down, and I was like, okay, look, like, what am I going to do next? Like, what is this next like thing that's going to help me get where I want to go? The creator economy is completely shifting to this whole totally different thing. It's becoming more regulated. Brands are more needy. There's a lot more competition. We have things with businesses where they're like, there's so many options. They don't know what to choose. So they do nothing. The economy was having it's still in a moment, but the economy is like really starting to have its real moment at that time. And so it's like, okay, we got to figure out what I'm going to do next. And I found this, I was posting on Facebook about a frustration I was having about how I was putting in these really elaborate proposals for businesses, and then I would get ghosted. Like I'd pitch them, and they would have a pricing, and I'm like, oh, this is great. This is exactly what we need. And they would never hear from me again. And one of the people that I'm connected with was like, stop doing that. I was like, why? I'm supposed to get the business. Like, no, you charge people for that. And he introduced me this concept of expert marketing. And I was like, what is this? And so he gave me this really great book called Four Conversations. It's by Blair Enns. Put it in the show notes. Look it up. I'll send you the link. I'll put it on the screen. Right. But he talks about how to sell expertise. And so much of my life has been, I either like with my understanding of what we sell in the world is we have a B2C market and we have a B2B market. You have a product or you have a service, and like that's how that works. Well, what opened my eyes in my education that I went through last year, I call it my master's degree in expertise, essentially, is how I'm kind of like coining it.
Yeah.
It was, no, there's product, there's service, and then there's expertise. It's education. So like when you're learning from people like the Cody Sanchez's, the Tony Robbins, the Bill Walsh's, the experts, the people that are on stages inspiring and leading, those are the experts of the world, and they sell their expertise. And I was like, well, I mean, I'm already talking on stages all over the country as it is, teaching them about these things, about these concepts. I'm a big advocate for what I want to do here. I believe in this wholeheartedly as someone who's like joining chambers and being in BNI, and my relationship with community is really unique because of military life. And I was like, okay, like, how do I want to talk about this? How do I want to bridge this? And at the same time, right, because as if not enough wasn't going on, I am also pivoting what our services are. I sunset all-in-one social media and I rebranded into the cast agency to focus on offering fractional CMO, Chief Marketing Officer services, where I focus on audit strategy and implementation. So we look at what they're doing in their business, what is and isn't working, what are their goals, what do they want to do, and putting together a strategy that isn't just one sector focus. Like, I'm not just doing social, I'm not just doing email. It's like, let's look at the whole picture of these things and then we help put them into place. And a big part of all these marketing strategies included something tangible. And no business was the same, but every one of them has something tangible. So I was working with a fertility company and they were like, what can we do for getting more business? Like, the fertility industry is kind of weird right now. It's becoming more blah, 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 blah. So one of the things we started doing is like, okay, let's do these educational seminars for prospective parents. And then let's go do these one-off mommy and me meet and greets with people that are already parents and have kids that we could communicate and educate about how surrogacy works, right? And just so you could get them interested in joining that world. And so it was an in-person tangible piece to it. I worked with a wonderful real estate agent named Peter Peterson up in Howell. And one of the things that she was doing these wonderful videos that were like mayor of your town style of videos through an organization called American Dream TV. And she would do stuff on YouTube and she would do all this stuff. But her core values of who she was as a business was very human focused. And she's like, well, how can I bridge these two? And so we adjusted her YouTube strategy and how we supported it online and integrated in a human element. So like, we would do features on the town. So like in Howell, we did a video that was all about things to do in Howell in the winter, like, because indoor activities and stuff, and like kind of featured the town. And then we did because it's a national spot, because it does on HGTV and the Travel Channel, we did a watch party for the community. We partnered with the Chamber, the Rotary, all this stuff. And we did a watch party at the theater in downtown Howell.
Oh,
right.
that's
So
cool.
it's like, how can we take these digital moments and add an in-person experience to it to be more intentional with stuff? I even like from like a much more like personal perspective, my daughter is 10. She's 10 now. She was 9 last year. And my daughter has always wanted to have a business. I was making all-in-one social media while she was in the womb. Like I launched, like, she was born early. I remember like going, like, battling, like I would like she was in the NICU and I would like, I have to go down to the they kick you out, and I would go down to the coffee shop and I would take care of client work, like, while I was like in between, NICU feedings and stuff. And I think it's just like ingrained in her DNA. So like, whenever she would play dress up or make believe, she was always starting a business while dressed as a princess. So she's like dressed up like Cinderella, but she's like running a coffee cart. She's dressed up like Sleeping Beauty, but she's like starting her own movie theater and like she takes over the house and does it. Like, it's this whole thing. And so she's always like trying to she always wants to go with me to B&I or my chamber events. Like, Mommy, can I go with you to this? I'm like, you're going to be bored, but she loves it. And so finally, we figured out a way for her to start her own business last year. So we have rabbits, and we've had rabbits for years, and they have like a room in our house. Like, it's a whole like thing. And I was at my cheese making class, and there was a bunch of crunchy moms. They're all talking about their farms, all this stuff that they do. And I was like, well, we have rabbits if you ever need bunny poo for your gardens. And they were like, girl, sell that. And I was like, what? It's crazy.
It's crazy.
And so I go and I talk to my daughter. I look it up and I talk to my daughter about it. It's like, Harley, these ladies are like, we should sell bunny poop. And she was like, can we do that? So, hand to God, we started the Bunny Buns Poop Factory, and she sells bunny poop in little tea bags as fertilizer for your plants. And it's for like whether you're planting in the ground, if you have like a porch garden, or even just like your house plants. Like, it's this whole thing that she does. And she's just like out there talking to people. And we went to the farmer's market. As much as I am online and digital, I was like, this requires explanation. So we're going to have to go to the people and talk. And they were nice enough to like put us next to the plant places, and we could pull them in. She did really well that summer too. So like, we just did a couple of them, and it's this whole like thing. So it's like in person is such a unique and wonderful way to connect. And I think that it gets such a bad vibe in our modern era because people think that I can't touch as many people as I can online. Because so many people think, oh, I can run an ad and I can reach 1,000 people. And that means 500 of them are going to click, which means 100 of them are going to sign up, which means 50 of them are going to buy. Like it's this like weird math that they start mathing. And it's like internet math. Like, there's girl math, it's internet math. Like it's just the weirdest thing. But like, you know what though? I get better quality clients with richer relationships and better referrals when I just am part of my community. And humaning and networking is such a lost art in our post-COVID world.
Oh yeah, it is.
So
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and because there is a fear level to it. Like, what do you do when you say? I had Christy in a couple weeks ago, and she was just this last episode last week, and talking about the first time she went to a chamber event. She sat in the parking lot forever. I can relate to that because people see me now, and I'm out and about and everywhere. But the very first time a sales manager told me to go to a chamber meeting or a chamber, do networking. I got there early and then I'm like, oh, I'm early. I can't go in because and so I drove around until I was like 25 minutes late and then like, now I'm late. So I went home. And so I gave credit for Christy. She went in, she had a conversation. She ended up getting a relationship and ended up getting a client out of it, which is so awesome. So crazy. I did not have that success story. So that's awesome.
No, I going in, I'm trying to pull up my book because I have my first chapter. One of the chapters of my book, I talk about my first networking event, and I lead in with it with a chapter of being like, I've always been an overachiever. I've always been like top of my class and all stuff, but there's always one note I kept getting over and over again from my teachers and the people around me: talks too much in class. And so I love to talk to people and I love to network and I love to connect. I am the extrovertiest of extroverts. Like it's so odd because like my office is like in my basement and I'm all alone in the country and I'm like, people are like, oh, that sounds amazing. I was like, no, it kind of eats at your soul after so long. Like I have to go human a little bit every week or I will die.
Like a plant down there shriveling.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. I have a window though, but it's still a whole thing. And so, so I'm like, COVID was really hard for me. I'm the extroverted of extroverts. And so I talk about how my first networking event, my mom found it for me. She found me this website. Again, I live in Arizona, and it was called networkingphoenix.com. And it was this website where all of the local networking events in the Valley could put their listings up and people could go to things. And there was a thing that was nearby that was like a local breakfast mastermind. I was like, yeah, I'll go hawk my graphic design skills. Like, this is fine, right? This is before I started my agency. And I walked in and I was like, what do I do there? I had to do an elevator pitch. I'm like, what's an elevator pitch? Like, that's weird. Like, okay. Oh, I have to talk to these people. Like, it was a whole like, what am I doing? Right. But I was 24 and fearless. Right. So it was just like, what do I have to lose? But like, it teaches you a lot. And you're always changing and growing. Like the elevator pitch always changes. The mission always changes. Hell, my name changed. Like I married. Like it just, but like going and peopling and connecting never changes. Like that's always such a magical experience.
And that's the cool thing because no matter what business you're in, you are peopling. No matter what B2B, B2C, all the things, at the end of the day, it is those connections, those relationships that you're.
Yeah. Well, it's those intentionalities. Like it's such, we think about social media, it's such a curated experience, right? Like it's a lot of highlight reels, there's a lot of best moments. Sometimes if like someone does share a vulnerable thing, they're still tailoring the photo and the post and doing the grammar checks and all that kind of stuff. Like there's a bit of the humanity that still gets lost in that piece of it. And so, but when you're in person with people, and I always joke this is like, I can't smell you through the internet, but I can smell you in real life. And, and it's like, I can touch your arm or I can like shake your hand or I can give you a hug. I can see how tall or short you actually are. Like there's all these just like little nuances of things. And it's almost just like, again, too, when you think about like energy radiation, you just can't get energy radiation the same way that you can in person. And I just think it's that infectiousness of life when you and like to like use plants as an example. Plants that are potted will never perform as well as plants that are in the ground with other plants. It's because they have no one to talk to. Like there is a lot of scientific data that talks about how plants talk to each other through their root systems. And so like you'll find that they're reaching out for nutrients, they're also reaching out for each other. Like they're trying to find more people to be companion planted with. And so when you're able to companion plants, like if you put 2 plants in a pot, it'll always do better. So like I have a lemon tree in my house and I have some clover I've kept in there just to keep her company, as silly as it is. Like she's someone to talk to, right? It's this whole dumb thing, but it's true. It's literally science. Like and humans are the same way. Like when you keep us alone in isolated spots, and even if we're only communicating and experiencing our life through a screen, it's still a filter and it's still hard. And so that's why I say like, and I talk so much within the book, it's like, let's take this human experience. Let's create a human experience. Let's create a human moment that can build emotional connection. And then let's nurture it online. Because this way, I already know what you smell like. I already know what it feels like to be around you. I already know the pitch of your voice, how tall or shorter you are, and how good of a hugger you are. And I can take that and I can have that continued positive association by continuing to touch you online in like these really intentional, powerful ways.
It comes down to like, this podcast. I don't do it. I won't have a guest on unless they're like, doing it in person. I had somebody that came out last week from Portland, Oregon, and he wanted to do it online, and I contemplated, but I'm like, no, it's just this. It's that relationship. It goes deeper. It's just so much better when you're able to like do this versus on that screen.
I've done them both. My podcast I had for 5 years, Women of Video, 230 something episodes.
Yeah.
All online.
Yep.
But the moment I get in like to a room with somebody, it's just better. It's deeper.
Yep.
Like, it's a different thing. Cause like there's just this distraction of a screen.
Yeah.
You know, that like I can go do something else while I'm talking to you. I can, just scroll my phone, or someone can interrupt me, or it's just all these things. Like not wearing pants some of the times. Like, like it's just, you gotta like do the intentional efforts for things.
Exactly. I don't know. I got to a point during COVID with all that screen time where I would just like somebody would say, "Do you want to do a phone call?" I'd be like, "Yes, please. Let's do a phone call. I'll walk around the neighborhood and we can talk on the phone. It'll be great. No screen staring."
I got really excited about one of the things I did really love about COVID is how everyone adopted the video call.
Yeah.
I kept trying to get people to do Skype calls with me for like the 10 years leading into COVID. I was like, can we please? Because in Arizona is huge. Like you will like, people are like, oh, will you drive an hour for a 30-minute like coffee meeting with me for you to pitch your network marketing business to me? And I'm like, can we just do this on the phone or over Skype? Like I can't. And so it's one of those things. But again, like I've driven all over for really good relationships with friends. Again, using Tisha as the example again. I know Tisha because she started the Mom E-Club. And it was a group for mom entrepreneurs to come together and build businesses and support each other because women are really good at that. And she was a fantastic ringleader of it. And that's, another like indoctrination of networking and impersonating, doing stuff together, right? When someone's pregnant, it's like feel their belly, see how they're doing, like connect to them on like, oh, I see that you're making a face. You need help with something. Like it's just those little things. And we're talking a lot too in our call, our time today about the networking and the humaning part. But there's a lot of other ways that you can do traditional marketing that isn't even just human focused. We have print marketing, we have sponsorships, you have broadcast media. Like there's all these different ways to give people a tangible way to experience you as a business and a brand. That I think is just that all links into the human touches and the human connections.
Again, going back to this, it's like the storytelling, and that's when I was sitting and having these conversations with people in coffee shops, like other entrepreneurs, and I just wanted to pick their brain because I was trying to learn, and I was trying to learn from them, and then they're telling me these amazing stories, and I'm like, oh my god, I didn't know that about you, and they're like, yeah, nobody knows that. How do I share that story? Or like, I could never share that story. I'm like, oh my god, if you shared that story, people would be like, whoa, and so that's Coffee and Grit.
Yeah, like I said, the storytelling element of marketing and networking is like something that everyone, it's like the buzzword. Everyone's like, you tell stories, you connect, storytelling skills, blah, 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 blah. But, it's not, I think storytelling is connecting. Like,
it is,
and yes, we connect through stories, and obviously stories that are detailed and passionate, and you're able to like bring people with you about like, oh my God, let's set the scene. Let me tell you about how it smelled. This is what it was like, is different than like, yeah, we sat down, we had words, we talked, coffee was good. Like it's good. Like 4 stars, would recommend. Like, you don't like that's not, it's just it's different, right? And it's all of that kind of stuff.
It's awesome. That is awesome. So tell me, because it's more than a book. Obviously, it's coming outside and then creating an experience, is from what I understand.
So the book very much focuses on, okay, this is how we human. This is what humaning looks like now. Let's get back to it a little bit with in our AI post-COVID life. Like how do we human again? And so I dive in with lots of really great examples on all these different areas, from like word of mouth marketing with like the Brighton Howell Chamber, or the Brighton Howell group, where that's like the CTA experience, like me, like niche communities, magazines, traditional broadcasting, like how WHMI has found such great success, one of the last few remaining independently owned radio stations in the country that is so community focused. You have things like how podcasting plays a part in the new traditional media, talking about networking, talking about sponsorships with Beauchamp, and like how can we turn community involvement into a positive ROI experience. Like, it's all of these really great stories and examples around these traditional mediums. But then it's like, okay, cool, Des, I'm super pumped. I'm ready to like do this. But you talked a lot about the internet in there too. So how do we do that? And so that's where it's supported by the table. So the table is my paid community where you can come. We have weekly office hours with lessons and time for Q&A. There's obviously the community support with your fellow business professionals and people that are in the group, but there's also a buttload of tutorials about how to do the things. And a lot of my success as a YouTuber has come from tutorials. Like, here's how to do this thing. How do I create a Facebook page? What is an Instagram reel? How do I post Instagram reel? How do I make an Instagram reel? Right. And so the table has those really specific lessons. It's not a lot of like, here's a concept, think on it. Like a lot of, I think, courses will go through. This is very much like, here are the actual steps so you can follow along. So you can then know the like how to make an email, how to do a Facebook page, how to make a Facebook post, what is TikTok, and how does it work? What is a trend? There's all like, what is SEO? What is SEO circa 2026? What is AEO? AI and engine optimization. Like, how does that work? This is being able to like educate through like do it together sort of mentality, because it's just really necessary. There's so much changing. There's so much to figure out. There's so much to do. And most people want to know about it and see if it's an option. And then in order for them to do that, they have to know how to do it. And it can get really easy to get lost on YouTube and in the weeds of like blog posts and tutorials and all that kind of stuff.
You talk about the weeds, and just to your point, you've listed off so much stuff, but the ways that people can market, and it can get easy to get sold, especially when you don't know. And somebody can come along and get you excited about something, but it's like having that right strategy for you. It's not just, I've had clients that have come to me in their meetings. This one guy specifically, I remember he had these 6 marketing plans that he had paid for. And I was like, which one was the best? And he was like, I haven't implemented any of them. I'm like, oh man. He's like, I'm talking to this guy right now that this like wants to do something really marketing. I'm like, rule number 1, no more marketing plans for right now. Like, let's really figure this out before you go and like you're spending money on this stuff.
Oh my gosh. The amount of things that entrepreneurs get excited about and pay for and then never do anything with.
We're visionaries. We're like,
oh my God. It's like they can see us coming. Like, oh, I smell the Ego credit card swipe a mile away. Like, it's just, and we do it to ourselves because we're just like, we're so excited to find new ways to share our businesses and our services with people. But honestly, like when we think about it, we can just go back to what has been working. Word of mouth is as old as time itself. And then we have fun things like networking, talking to people, old as time itself. Like there's all these like echelons of society, like the Gilded Age and the Regency era and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's all talking to people. It's all who you know and what they can do and who they can get trained with. Nepotism, it's a real thing. Like, it's all of that stuff like that builds up what we're doing. And so we just have to find the way to make what we want happen, but we also have to remember that we have to be realistic. I talk about in the book, it's like you get so excited about starting a business without realizing that you just gave yourself 2 jobs. One, the job that you're going to get paid to do, and two, the job of being a full-time marketer, because it's now your job to be a marketer more than someone that actually does the work that you get paid to do. Right? Like it's and most people don't realize that. Like I'm here to fix pipes and do electrical work and help with, their back cracking and their teeth fixing. Like, no, I'm actually the big part of your job now is just talking about your business over and over again, finding new ways to get in front of people so that then you can do the thing that you get paid
You
to
can
do.
actually then do the thing that you actually love doing.
To do the thing that you actually need to get paid to do to like pay for the bills, right? And so it's this interesting thing that no one really no one talks about, no one realizes, but when all of us entrepreneurs look back, you're like, yeah, well, that's the whole thing, isn't it? We had to do that now, right? And so it's this whole like journey, and so it's like, how do we go back and do the things that work one part at a time, and let the natural escalation happen?
All of this is needed because it's not just showing up for the most part, because you can say go do these things and people will go and do those things, but if you don't have that education and that training, it's really, really difficult. Here's a good example. A few weeks ago, and I did an episode on this a few weeks ago at my SiriusNet, there was a guest that came in, and this guest is like a CPA, right? So not somebody that's used to being around and presenting in front of people. And so it's going around doing the member minutes, and so she goes to do her member minute, and you could tell that she was super nervous. And there's a couple of things, like one of three things that usually happen when someone's nervous. They either cut it short, they talk for a little, cut and talk for a little bit, but they're not really descriptive, or they just keep on talking and talking and talking and talking. And then when you think they're going to stop, they keep going. And it's not because they want to. It's like they're just, it's the nerves, and they don't know what they've all covered, and they've kind of lost track of time, and they probably feel like they're going to throw up and all the things. And that was this poor lady's thing, is she was just going on and on and on. It was probably 6 minutes. I was getting anxious. I was like, how do we stop her? Like poor girl. And then somebody in the group was like, all right, like, gonna have to cut you off. We only get a minute here. It was like really harsh, but it was like what everybody was thinking. The problem is like then everybody in the group wanted to be like, oh, you did great. Don't worry about it. Like everything is good. She knows she didn't do great.
You all know she didn't do great.
We all know she didn't do great. And then the thing is, the point of this whole entire thing to even show up is to build relationships and get referrals, right? Build connections and get referrals. That's the reason why we're showing up, and to do this thing in the first place. And so if we're just telling somebody, oh, you're doing great, when they know and we know that they didn't do great, that's not helping them, and it's not making them feel like I need to join this group. And if they do join that group, they're just flushing their money down the toilet.
I mean, that's a lesson in itself. Like, how do you show up with intentionality? Again, the first time you do something, you're going to suck at it.
You're going to suck at it.
I just said that. Like, my first book is called Start, Suck, Get Better. Like, it's like you have to, in order for you to get better at anything, you have to suck at it. And that goes into sports, that goes into parenting, that goes into opening a business, that goes into driving a car. It goes into everything. Like anytime you do something for the first time, you're going to suck at it. And then it's important for you though, like to reflect on it and figure out like what you can learn to be better. And like that's where people most time fall in the trap, is they don't do that part.
Yes.
And so it's like, okay, how do we get there? And so again, we're talking about marketing our businesses, and like what we need to do is pick something. You have a smorgasbord. There's a buffet of options for marketing your business. Find the one that you're the combination of like you're the most comfortable with, that also can give you like a faster, quicker return. A lot of people think that the easiest one to do is go start posting about it on Facebook. And I would argue like, no, go find your local chamber. Go to a local chamber event and like see, like go talk to people and see what you can do, what you can learn, how to talk about your business, like figure out those parts and pieces. Then you'll slowly build it out from there. In the book, we have a framework that we focus on called PLANT. And the first one is P, it's purpose. And we have to create our website. Like you need a home base for everything that you do. So the first thing I always do when anyone is in business, like, hey, well, tell them, let's go to your website and see what you got going on. They're very rarely any good. And most of the time they need a lot of help. They're out of date. They don't know like who their .com owner is. They don't know who hosts their website. They don't know how to change anything. And so it's like, those are the things. It's like, it's because they're good at what they do. They're not good at these other pieces. And so it's like you have to start building like really solid frameworks and like a good starting place. And so when you're thinking through your marketing, like where do I start? Go look at your website and make sure your website is doing the things that it needs to do to be successful for you. And these are going to be, it's very clear what you do in 7 words or less at the top. There is a very clear, big, bright, shiny button that says, go do this thing right now to get a hold of me so I can get your money. So book now, call now, purchase now, like buy now, like those like really intentional big buttons. And then 3, you need to make sure that like the visual that's associated with it makes sense for your business. So it should be like the brand logo coloring is the same. Maybe it's a picture of you. Maybe it's a picture of what you do. Like it needs to make sense. Like if like you're a carpenter, you don't need to have like a nice scenery of like mountains. Like that doesn't make any sense. It should be a picture of you cutting some wood. And then like whatever your mission is that you do that solves a problem for the person that's there, right? Like those are really basic things that we can do with the website. So many people get caught up in the weeds of like, well, this is who we are. This is what we're about. These are problems that we're going to solve. And this is our mission and our blah, blah, blah. No.
People don't care.
Nope. 7 words or less. What problem are you solving for me? I used to talk to a great deal about how, and I said this on stages, like you are Gandalf. You are guiding Frodo to Mordor. And I actually called myself out in my book about that. I was like, no, we're not. We're not Gandalf on this journey. Gandalf literally gives you a ring and fucks off and finds out. Like he goes and does all the other stuff, the whole of the rest of the story. But you're Frodo. You got Samwise Gamgee like on your side. Like we're walking through it. You're doing the stuff. You're doing the hard things. And it's this whole thing. Like you have to do the work. You're carrying the burden. You're carrying the heavy load to solve the problems for the thing that you love, which is the Shire. So when you break it down into like the business owner is Frodo, the Shire is your customer, and I am your Samwise Gamgee, guiding you through it, keeping you on track, making sure that you keep doing what you want to do and focus as best as you can so you don't get distracted by the other things that are around. Do that. And that is what the books at its heart is all about. Like, how can I help support you and guide you through where you are as a business so that you can accomplish the things that you want in a way that makes sense for you, that you're comfortable with, that is and free of all of the extra noise and the random acts of marketing.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Thanks.
So now it's all the fun stuff in the podcast and like getting it out there.
Yeah, now's the work part. Like, writing the book is the easy part. Like, I know people are like, oh my God, this is so hard. You wrote a book. I'm like, no, you know what the hard part is actually like getting people to buy the book, promoting the book, trying to make people like a book is a big commitment. Like, when we talk about long form content, like this is something people are going to listen to while they're doing dishes or driving to work. Like this is like, we know that's when people listen to podcasts. Yeah. YouTube videos, similar. Like they're giving me their dedicated time. That's like our whole thing. A book? Oh man, a book is like a lot of eyeball time. Yeah. It's a lot of reading. In the back of each of my chapters is a place for you to write questions and like with your notes of like what you're going to do based on what you just like talked about. There's QR codes, the places for you to go and things for you to do. Like it's a journey, a book. Like it is, and that's why it's such a valuable and monumentally important medium. It's a lot of time to spend with me. So it's a lot of work. It's a lot. It's heavy. I know what the lesson is in that, but writing a book's a lot. Go spend some time with me. It's fun.
I like how you condense that. It's the marketing in you. Writing the book is fun. Spend some time with me.
Go spend some time with me. I promise. It's all helpful.
Oh, man. And we talked about this in the last episode, but I love how it's your experiences. And I've got to go back. What was that book again? The 4 Conversations?
Yeah, the 4 Conversations. It's 4 Conversations.
I'm sorry, not to prune it up.
No, it's okay. It's called 4 Conversations. I'll pull it up while we're talking.
But selling your experiences, and you're obviously an expert at that from the standpoint of going all the way back to the MySpace days and the things that you're doing and being able to solve a problem of the same problem that you had. Like you figured out a solution and then you're able to help other people solve it.
So the book is called The 4 Conversations, a new model for selling expertise by Blair Enns. Okay. And it really is just, it asks so many big questions and opens so many eyes around stuff. I also listened to this really great book. It was like The Art of Selling Expertise, something like that. And it was really like this deep dive into it. And not everyone's supposed to do it. Not everyone needs to sell expertise. A lot of people need to sell a service. A lot of people need to sell a product, right? But like when you're in a seat where I think you've been doing something for a long time and you have a lot of history and experience, like I've worked with thousands of business owners. I've talked to teachers across the country. I have I have over 4.5 million views on my YouTube channel. Like I spend a lot of time talking to people and educating people and connecting with people. My expertise is on accident what I've actually been selling to people all this time. And the service is just the thing that usually is the higher income dollar value piece of what I've done for so long. But the book is really great way for you to think about, like, if you were in that phase of your professional career where you're like, what do I do next? I've been doing this for a long time. I think you probably get so much value out of Jay, and all that kind of stuff. But it's just a really helpful way of looking at things. And I remember one of the very distinct stories that it told me in it that really opened my eyes around selling of expertise. And it's this concept of an empty and a full cup. You are a full cup of water, and someone that you're doing business with is an empty cup of water. And as an expert, you're pouring your cup into them. And eventually you run out of water and they have all of your water. And then they don't need you anymore because you have nourished them and poured them all into them. And it's very much the natural cycle of like the student teacher relationship. Like the student becomes a teacher, like that whole like idea. And I know for me as a vendor, I never want people to leave. I want them to be my customer forever. It's just always like, why would you leave when they like leave? And it's like, no, I did such a good job. They had to hire somebody to be their in-house marketing person now. You know, it's like, it's that idea. Yeah. And it was really eye-opening. It was like, oh, they're supposed to leave. They're not supposed to stay for forever. kind of an idea. And I think that was like one of those like big moments for me because it's been at the time, it's 15 years of like banging my head. Why do they leave? It's because they're not supposed to be around for forever. I'm not Netflix or Spotify. Like it's not something that continues to be needed over and over again every month. You know, it's something that's like you get them to a point where they don't need you anymore or they have to elevate or they like the perfect thing for me is, and it's always happened was, oh, well, we've done so good. We're hiring someone in-house to take this over and do it more aggressively. And I was like, man, that sucks. Like, I'm happy for you, but that sucks. You know, like that kind of idea.
Yeah.
Those are one of my favorite lessons from the book.
That is so cool. And I'm so glad you said that because it's something that like, you know, you get vested in these relationships and you're watching them grow. And like, it's like you're such a part of their lives for a while. And then all of a sudden they fly. And it's like your kids. Like I have a senior in high school right now. And it's like going through that same experience as a parent and watching him leave the house and like be responsible and have a job and like do these things. And it's like, wow, he's so independent. He doesn't need us anymore. That's cool. At the same time, you know, like, oh, can you come back a little bit? But so going through that, it can be a process to really have that eye opening of like, oh, okay, this is what I'm doing. And to see that is really cool.
So funny that you said that because I'm in the moody tween era of parenting. And I'm like, when does that part happen? That sounds amazing. Like I'm like counting down when they can drive.
It does come back. Yes. Yeah.
I was like, when can you drive? I'm sick of taking you places.
It's around that time. I think it was around the time when he got his own freedom. It was like all of a sudden our relationship went to this next level where I don't want to say friends because you still have to be a parent. There's still that line, but it's a different level of like he's seeking my knowledge versus me like having to try to give him my knowledge. He's like now coming and asking.
It's almost like you're not a parent, you're a mentor at that point. So it's like it's almost like you've leveled up as a parent. Like I'm not a parent anymore. I'm a mentor, and the ultimate goal is to get to a friend. I remember my daughter. She's like, Mom, we watched the Gilmore Girls because I took her to the Gilmore Girls Destination Stars Hollow event, the first one that they had, and she just got really into it, so she wanted to watch the show. And I was like, yeah, we can watch the show because it's a mother-daughter thing. Like I've seen it a bazillion times. It's fine. And some people might be like, come at me about different parts, but it's okay. But there's this line they're talking about, well, we're best friends. And she turns to me, she's like, Mom, are we best friends? It's like, not yet. Like you're 10, babe. Like I'm still making you a person. We're not there yet. Like we'll get there with time though, you know, and it's kind of one of those things. It was kind of hard. She was like, oh, I was like, I promise it'll be worth it. But it just like my mom though, like my mom is my best friend, you know, after all of this time. And I remember asking her recently in the last couple of years, I was like, do you ever miss me being a little kid? Because so much of what everyone was telling me at the time, like, oh, you'll miss this, you'll miss this, you'll miss this. And I was like, do you miss me being a kid? And she literally paused for a second. She's like, no, I like who you are as an adult. I worked really hard to get you here. So it's kind of, again, it's a great story, but I also like to bring it back to like the business and stuff. And it's like, I worked really hard to get you to where you are. And in theory, that means that you need to put the right system and person in place to take over that part and
Yep.
manage it itself.
Yep. Yep.
Just sucks. Just sucks to lose that relationship sometimes. It's not lost. It's like a moving on kind of a thing.
I have a client I've worked with for it's been a few years now, and he's on the autism spectrum. And it's been a really cool process, and we've literally for the last few years we've met up every week, and we've now at the point where we've only met up once in the last 5 weeks. And the last time I met up with him, I'm like, I am just so freaking excited to like watch you. Like he's going through his whole ideas and not backtracking, like backing up in his confidence and being like, I shouldn't say this or I shouldn't say that. Like, it's just so cool to watch him come to fruition. It's like, as much as it's sad, like we talked on the phone today and he's like, I know you miss me, right? And I was like, yeah, man, but I'm so proud of seeing you going out there and kicking ass. I'm so proud of you. Like he ended up getting a raise at his job that he like literally is like become such an integral part to this really cool company that he's working for. And I had this conversation with his boss today, and he's like, and I was telling him about his raise, and he was like, "Thank you." And I'm like, "Thank me? Like you did this? Like you did all of this work? Like they're talking about you that's doing all of this stuff, not me. Like that's so cool to see that happen." Mm-hmm. Am I sad we don't meet up every week? Yeah, but man, this is the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a natural part of I think all the cycles of things. I think the only relationship, like any relationship, has to continue to grow and evolve. Any relationship, parents, kids, professionals, our intimate relationships, our friendships, like it's really easy to become complacent and become stagnant. I think that's when a lot of like animosity and problems tend to come into place and I know this from my personal experience going through my own journey with my husband and the phases that he's had to go through with PTSD recovery and coming out, like him figuring out who he is and then like what is my role as his wife in this new way where he's more recovered. I've gone through therapy myself. My therapist is like, okay, she fired me. She's like, we're done. I don't need you anymore. Like you need to go find this next phase. It was so funny. Last year, like I said, this is where again, well, how you're doing life in intentional ways. My therapist fired me, and she was like, "You need a business coach and a couples therapist. Like that's where you need to go next." Literally the very next day, I met Kevin.
Wow!
And we did our preliminary call, and he said something to me that I challenge myself daily on, and he says, "Desiree, you're too certain. You don't have enough curiosity." And I was like, what? Damn. And it was so hard to hear, but it's like you're just, everything. What do you need me for? And I was like, because I don't know everything. I don't know what I'm doing. He's like, then stop being so certain and start being curious and asking questions. And you can take those things. And it was like a change. I was like, okay, well, I guess this is my new business situation and we're going to go down this coaching route. Right. And so it was like one day difference. I went and it's just one of those really interesting things in relationships of how we change as people and how we want to change our relationships. I use that exact same model when I talk with my husband and we're trying to work through stuff, because so much of the time when like my husband and I are being in a disagreement about something, it's because we're not asking the right questions to like be curious and figure out like what can we do differently or better, or why do you feel that way, or taking it's the same with business. Like when I sit down and I talk to my customers, I'm like, hey, what did you do? Like, what didn't you do? What do you want to do? What are your goals? And like, it's just about sitting and listening to them. That I'm just like, trauma dump their marketing experience, because apparently marketing is really traumatizing for business owners. And I'm like, okay, like how do we navigate through this? How do I give them reassurance? How do I let them know like I'm going to do everything in my power to give them stability and confidence and comfort, and ask them hard questions to challenge their processes around things and stop them from doing things and all those kinds of pieces. So like I said, we always have to be changing. We always have to be evolving as people, so that we can be better individuals and then also like be better for relationships. And again, like the most obvious and easiest ones to see that it is a child and parent relationship. But when you apply it to all these different areas of your life, whether it is having your relationship with your spouse, your partner, your family, to your relationship with business, to a relationship where you have with somebody come in the door and you have an interaction with them in your store and then they leave, they never come back again. Like that, like how you are is remembered and reflective, and you have a chance to be impactful.
It is huge, and shout out for Kevin, because it's his words with his questions, the things he says to you,
hurts me every time I talk to him. Every time. He's a good coach, but every time I talk to him, he's hurting me.
I feel like he gets he's like a little bit sadistic and like he looks at you as he says these things and watches the
What is he, he's a professional masochist or something? I don't know. He's like what is it? He's like a dominatrix coach. Like, I'm gonna hurt you and you're gonna like it.
There was like a couple the one thing he was like, you know that thing that you're doing for free for everybody that everybody's like, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing this. Like this, and he's like, that's the thing you should be charging the most for. I'm like, damn.
Stop it.
And then the same thing, I was like sitting with him complaining about the podcast. I'm like, and the thing I was telling you about how nobody's taking the content. I'm like, oh my God, you're sitting with me for like anywhere between 60 and 90 minutes. You have all this amazing content. Like I'm cutting clips and I'm leaving so much on the table that I'm putting out like, 3 to 5 clips a week out of this episode. And I'm leaving so much on the table that promotes the people in this chair. And then I'll run into them later and they'll be like, oh, I got to start making video. Oh, I got to start making content. Oh, I got to start doing this stuff. I'm like, why is it so painful when you have it right there?
And so it's like, okay, so it's not the perfect clip. Okay, so there's a spelling error. Okay, so your hair is greasy. Okay, so your lighting looks kind of wonky. Just post the damn video.
You know what's awesome though? If somebody notices the spelling error, they watch the damn video.
They're gonna call you out on it. Like, thanks for the engagement.
Thanks for watching.
My friend Austin, he's the best. He actually wrote a book. He's released his book the month before mine. His book is called Virality. It's so good. I like had my team read it. It was so good. And he talks about how he rage baits people to watch his content. So one of the things that he does in his videos is he creates folders at the top of his browser bar, and there'll be something like really like audacious or weird, like Taylor Swift NUD, and it'd be like, but the video's about like an app for fixing something, and everyone's commenting on that thing. It's like, but you watched it and you learned what happened. It's like, don't get your mind out of the gutter. Or like, like this funny, and he changes it all of the time just to say stupid stuff that people like want to comment on. And he always has spelling errors because it's human, but also people want to just tell you did something wrong.
Kevin, I was telling you, he got like 9 million views on his podcast last month, and across all the platforms, the clips.
Different Kevin, not the Kevin.
Different Kevin.
Different
yeah,
Kevin.
Kevin Brown, who is my partner in the studio, and so he does not give a shit what he says, right? Like he'll say whatever, and so we had some mic issues, which is why we got the replacement mics, and we were having some mic issues, and so
don't we sound good, guys? Don't we sound good? Amazing.
So in this episode, we did not sound. He was cutting in and out. And somebody in the podcast, in the comments on YouTube, put, "Why your mic's cutting out, or why is your sound cutting out?" I was like, "Because the mics were fucked up." He was like,
yeah, right.
The guy's like,
"Because technology is great, but only when it works."
But he's like, "Do you want a refund?" And the guy was like, "I didn't pay anything." He's like, "Exactly. It was a free podcast."
Amazing. Oh, Kevin, I love that clap back. Way to go. That's a great line. I'm always a very big fan of your local bookstore. You can go to your local bookstore, pre-order it through their website, because then you're supporting local.
I did see you were doing something with
Two Dandelions.
Yes,
and
my favorite bookstore.
That's the best bookstore. Oh my God. Like tangent. I think the thing I love the most about Two Dandelions, besides the fact that it's our hood and they do such a good job and they care so much, is they do the little synopsis papers. So if you ever go in the bookstore, they have these little yellow papers all over the place. And it's staff recommendations. And they're writing little notes like, this is what you kind of need to know about this book. I found my literal favorite genre of books because of one of those things. It's Christmas like 2 years ago. In 2023, I want to say 2022, and I'm in there shopping for Christmas. I went to the ladies' night out thing that they do every year, and the synopsis read, "What happens? This book is about what happens to your D&D character when they retire." And I was like, sold. I'm a huge Dungeons & Dragons player. Like, it's a whole thing I love to do. And I was like, and so the book was called Legends and Lattes. And sure as shit, it lives up to that, like, description. And I was like, and from there, I found this genre of books I like to read. It's called cozy fantasy. It's they're kind of like a palate cleanser. Like, if you read a really intense, like sci-fi or fantasy book that's like really intense and deep, it's like a palate cleanser. It's like watching a Hallmark movie.
Okay.
It's like a fantasy Hallmark movie. Like, it's just easy to like read and walk through, and it's fun. And I found it so like, and I've read all of the books that are associated from that. And I found all the other genres, but yeah, love Two Dandelions.
Love. Yeah.
They care so much about our community.
They care so much. You can't beat it.
No, you cannot. But yeah, so buy the book, go to your local bookstore. Dandelion, you go online to Dandelions and order it, and then you get it in a couple days. If you are adamant about not leaving your house, you can get it on Amazon. So I'll have the audiobook coming out in the next couple months as well, if you want the audio experience. Because again, I am an experience in person, and also like so much of my content consumption. I've made over 1,000 videos between YouTube and my podcasts, and so just experiencing me. I read my book and go through it that way as well.
Spend all the time with Desiree.
Yeah, spend all your time with me. I'm gonna live rent free in your head forever. But again, and I think the other thing is just like, if I could give you one actionable step besides buy my book, it would be go to a local event. Just find one. The Brighton Chamber is crushing it right now. You know, Karen Story's done such an amazing job with doing stuff. I actually got to do my book launch with them. We did an amazing panel with some of the women who are in my book, including Sandy from Bojamp, Sandy Cortez from First Impression Print Marketing, and Barbara Walker from Heartland Insurance. They came. We did a panel where people got to learn about like how they have been able to stay sustainable through all these different economic hardships and things like that without, losing momentum and continue to grow. And like the Howell Chamber of Commerce, which is another one I'm a part of. We did a speed networking event there, and we got to talk about networking and have really intentional conversations with intentional prompts so that they could have intentional time together versus trying to go to somebody and be like, so, how about that weathered games? What do you do? Like it was that
weathered game. I love how you
the weather game. What do you do? Right? It's about we ask like intentional questions around things like what are you working on this year to help you be better in business? Or like my favorite question was, who's your business bestie? So Christy Reisner is my business bestie. She knows that, and I tell her that. I make her embarrassed every time I tell her that. She was actually at the thing too, so it was at the speed networking, which was fun. But yeah, like just go find your local group to be a part of, and if you don't have a chamber, find your associations or find your Rotary clubs or find your water buffaloes, like whatever it's going to be. Just go be a part of your hood. We underestimate the value of where we live. I'm not from anywhere. I talk. That's how the prologue of my book is. The first sentence in my book is, "Where are you from?" It's such an easy question for most people to answer. But as someone who grew up a military kid and then became a military spouse, I'm not from anywhere, and so it's a really complicated question to answer. But people like when they're from somewhere, especially here in Michigan, when you're from somewhere, you're from here. Like everyone tries to leave, they always come back. Especially once it comes to having kids. Like I gotta be near my mommy, right? Like my mom lives in Arizona. I see my mom like 4 times a year. Like, don't take your mamas for granted, right? But like getting to be a part of a community is such a gift, and it's a gift that we don't realize we have until like we don't have it, or it's gone, or something happens to it in a way that's really tragic or horrible or whatever that may be. Our Brighton hood is amazing. And I dedicated my book to Brighton.
That's so cool.
Because it was like, it's a town that took me in and like has made me feel like one of its own. The waves on the streets, the Brighton Bulldogs everywhere, the little quirky things that just make our place amazing. And every town in America has their own nisses, and getting to be a part of community is so powerful. So go be a part of your community. You're not going to regret it. No one ever is like, ugh, I hated spending time with people that care. No one's ever like that.
And if you're listening to this and you're in Livingston County, not to brag, you are in a phenomenal place.
Oh, yeah.
Go and experience the people. You're going to meet so many people that truly, really do care about you. And it's not like all that scarcity mindset. You have a lot of people that are really supportive. My favorite thing about being in business these last 8 years has been the relationships I've built. And it's, you can see it on the podcast, over 240 some odd episodes. It's mostly people here in the community.
Everyone is cheering for you to succeed. No one is like, oh, no, go away. Everyone's like, what do you do? 500 other people do that. I want you to succeed too, though, right? Yep. Like it doesn't matter what it is. They just want truly what's best for you. And I think that the vast majority of communities do. Where we living here is an accident, 100% for us.
Wow.
We made the decision to move to Michigan from Arizona in 2021 because we just were unhappy. And you can only melt so many times before you're like, there's got to be a better way to live.
We'll freeze.
Yeah, I promise it's better. I promise you guys, it is so much better. But Because because I work for myself and my husband is a disabled veteran, we don't have to move where the job is. I get to go where I want. And literally it was an accident. Our realtor came to it. I sent my husband, go find us a house. Like, I'll pack us. Let's go. Right. And he went on the day two, the realtor comes up. She's like, I have a house I wanted to show you. It's right up the street. It's coming soon. But I was able to talk to the owners about letting you see it ahead of time because they knew you weren't going to be in town. They never had to list it. We felt like Steven's like, I fell in love with the house driving into it.
Wow.
Like, and I didn't have to they never had to list the house. They gave it to us because it was an emotional sell for them. And Brighton just became our home on accident. Where we live is beautiful. The town is beautiful.
What a place to fall into.
Right. I fell into it. Like, it was a total accident. We were looking all over, the part. Like, we weren't picky. We just wanted a couple of our things were things like, we want to be near an airport. We want space. We don't want HOA. Like, it wasn't a lot of things that we were looking for. And check. And on top of it, it came with a magical little hood that I get to call home. So
I was joined the Believe in Brighton board that does the ladies' night and the Taste of Brighton, and it's phenomenal. I'm not someone that's super excited to be on boards ever. I've been on a few, and I didn't think I'd ever honestly join one again. But this is something just I'm passionate about because this place is phenomenal. It's a place that you can have a great, family, and it's so cool all of it. Brighton's amazing.
Yeah. Go be a part of your hood. You won't regret it, I promise.
Exactly.
And buy the book.
Desiree, thank you so much for coming in. This has been awesome.
No. Talking with you is just as much of a gift as my town is. So thank you for being part of it and being part of my life.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you.